Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to Om Namah Shivaya YouTube channel, where we learn practical spirituality. I'm going to talk about karma as an extension of our current series, which is success, challenges, and how to achieve success. So last episode we looked at what success means, and in this episode we're going to talk about karma and its relevance to our life and its relevance to success. The karma is a concept that exists. It's a real concept. This is not a theory. This is a law. Like Newton's law as opposed to Einstein's theory of relativity. Law is something that exists and we have to accept its existence. And this law is applicable whether somebody accepts or not. It's like a law of a land. You need to accept the law of land whether you agree or not. Same with law of karma. The law of karma exists and you have to work within the law of karma to be able to achieve anything. So it is very important that we understand the law of karma. It's very important that you understand the rules of the game if you want to succeed, if you want to win the game, right? So it's the same with the law of karma. So you need to understand exactly what it is so that when you're performing an action, you know what the outcome is going to be. So in that regard, we have to have very critical and we have to have a clear understanding of law of karma for us to be able to harness the power of law of karma, or rather to work along with the law of karma, not against it. Having said that, there are a lot of people who may not understand the law of karma or may have a vague understanding of law of karma, and I think it's most people would understand the law of karma in the golden rule, which is what goes around comes around. Yes, it is part of it, but that does not explain the law of karma in its entirety. So I'm going to attempt to give you a precise definition of law of karma, and once we understand it, then it's going to help us in next episode how we work along with it. Now, law of karma and why it is there. So once again, to draw an analogy, we need to understand that there is a gravitational force. Then we need to understand why the gravitational force is there. So we know that Earth is rotating around the Sun because of the gravitational pull by the Sun in an orbit. And if there was no gravitational force, then Earth won't be rotating in an orbit. It will be just pulled away from the Sun and it would have just been floating arbitrarily, right? So similarly, the law of karma exists in order to bring an order to the living beings. So if there is no law of karma, then there is no order in this world. So like gravitational force is essential for the earth to go around the sun so that the life can happen on earth, because it is going around the sun and it's revolving. So in that way the temperature, the sun exposure is evenly distributed with the earth. Similarly, the law of karma exists so that the souls or the living beings are able to live together. So that is the reason the law of karma exists. Okay, now the law of karma exists, but how does it work? I need to know how it works for me to say, okay, am I able to, am I working along with it, or am I working against it? I'm trying to, do something that I don't know. So it is very important that we understand the law of karma. So we have established why the law of karma exists, correct? Now the second thing is that how does it work? Okay. In principle, it's very close to the saying that what goes around comes around, but it is little bit more to be more precise, it is little bit more than that, or lot more than that. Okay, now the karma, which has got two sides to it, and these two sides are bad karma and a good karma. Okay, and the purpose of the living being is to go beyond that, or transcend the bad and the good of the karma. Okay, but while you are trying to go beyond the bad and good, while you're under the purview of karma, you know that if you do a bad deed, the reward will always be bad. It is something not to your liking. Okay? If you do a good deed, it will always be something that is pleasurable. Okay? So that is the basic tenet of the karma. Now, what is a karma? We will worry about whether it is a good karma or bad karma, but let's define what is a karma. Karma is any action by the soul and attributing that action, the reason for that action, to the self. So, okay, I need to explain very clearly. Let's say I walk down a street and a chap comes up to me and then says, can you give me $2? I don't have money for my smoke or food, whatever. Now, let's say I give him $2 and I say, I am giving this $2 to somebody who I owe nothing to. So I'm giving this $2, so I know I am doing a good deed, right? So I give the $2 to him, and this action of giving the $2 is a karma that is associated with me, not with the person. Okay? Whether that person is cheating me with the $2, or he's going to go and buy a drug, that is immaterial. But as far as I am concerned, that is a deed that I attribute to me. It is not a deed that I attribute to the God. Okay? So if I attribute that action of giving $2 to this person to myself, it becomes a deed. It becomes a karmic action. Okay? Now, that karmic action might have a positive or negative consequences, but because I attribute that action to me, as in me the soul, is because it's my $2 that I've given to this person. The moment I attribute to me, it becomes a karmic action. Okay? Now, can I attribute to God? Yes, you can of course attribute to God. So let me take the real situation. The real situation is that I mean we are talking about an hypothesis at this moment. Even though this is true, but I'm not going to go into proving this is what it is. This is true. So we are, at the moment we're taking this as an hypothesis. The hypothesis is that God, who wanted to provide that $2 to that chap who came up to me, so he chose me as the person who wants to help, who is going to be used to help this chap. Okay? So now God cannot come down in its human form and give the $2 to this chap. Okay? And this chap's has done some deed in the past, in previous life or whatsoever, that has enabled him to receive $2. Okay? And this $2 is going to come from somebody. It's not going to come straight from the God, right? It's going to come through another soul. So now the hypothesis is that God has decided that I am the instrument, I am the conduit to provide the $2 to this chap. Okay? Now, who's responsible for this chap to receive the $2? Now, it's actually the God who's responsible for the $2. Okay? Let's extend this a little bit further. Okay? Now, that $2 that I gave to him, how did I get this $2? Did I get this $2 when I was born? No. I earned it. Okay? I earned it how? By doing some work for it. Okay? Now, I've done some work for it, then I earned that money, so it has become my $2. But irrespective of my work, that $2 came to somebody else. So it is my karmic action of doing work got me the $2. That $2 came from my employer or my customer, client, or whatever the case may be. So that $2 came from somewhere to me. Okay? Now it goes in a cycle. So just staying between me and this chap, in the case 1, I attributed that giving $2 to this chap to me. But in reality, that $2 came to me by some other means. Correct? It came from somebody else to me. And I was not born with those $2. So it came to me. If I attribute giving this $2 to this person to God, then it becomes non-karmic action. Understand? So non-karmic action. So, and a karmic action is defined only when you do an action consciously and attribute it to yourself. For example, you are digesting your food in your stomach. you are doing it. Or your body is doing it without without you feeling, oh, I'm actually digesting now. So you are not attributing the action of digestion to yourself. So that is not a karmic action. Get my point? So any action that you do not attribute to yourself becomes a non-karmic action. Any action that you attribute to yourself becomes a karmic action. Okay? Now, we have established karma is a law. We established why the karma exists, karmic law exists, and we have established what exactly constitutes a karmic deed. Okay? Now we're going to establish what is a good deed, what is a bad deed, and what are the consequences of good deed and a bad deed. Okay? In its simplistic form, and a good deed is a deed that is benefiting another soul. Okay? So a deed that you do that benefits another soul is a good deed. Okay? A bad deed is a deed that is detrimental to another soul. The benefit could be financial, emotional, or spiritual. And the detriment could be financial, spiritual, and emotional. So these are the two types of deeds. And the consequence of a bad deed and a good deed, we're going to establish that now. The bad deed and the good deed, both deeds lead to rebirth. Okay? It's a good deed or a bad deed, both deeds lead to a rebirth. Why did he say that? Because both good and bad deeds need to be rewarded or punished. So the reward and punishment may not happen in one lifetime. So you have to take another birth to reap the rewards of your deed. So both deeds are same in that sense. Okay? No doubt that the good deed will give you a good life and bad deed will give you bad life. That is no doubt about it. But both deeds will give you life. And a life is always have both happiness and sadness. There is nobody that has ever lived, that is living now, that will ever live in future, can claim a life full of misery or life full of happiness. It is not the nature of a life. Life is always mixed with both. One may say that one's life has got more happiness than sadness. That's possible. Or some might say more misery than happiness. But it's always coexist. Now, the consequence of the good and the bad deeds is that you take another birth to reap the rewards of both your bad and good deeds. So, how is that? Then what is the purpose of us taking this birth, and how do we get out of this karmic cycle? How do we get out of this karmic cycle? The reason every person goes through life experience is to learn enough to know that you have to go beyond the karmic deeds. That is, if you have to sum up your life, it is it's a school where in which you are learning how to transcend this karmic deeds, going beyond bad and good karmic deeds. That is the purpose of life, and that is what we call spiritual success. A spiritual success is to reach the stage what we call equanimity, and a stage where in which a bad consequence and a good consequence to you both are treated exactly the same way by you. To get that maturity where you are able to look at both bad and the good in the same way. And how do you do that is what the life is given to you for, to learn how to do that. I'm going to explain how to face the challenges of life in my next episode, where we are going to look at what the karmic deeds have done for us in this life form, and how we overcome the karmic deeds to get to the stage where you are able to succeed in achieving the maturity that you need to achieve to transcend the karmic stage. Thank you. Please do subscribe, and please do ask any questions. Please also comment if you want to me to cover any aspect of this success spirituality series on success, and I would try and endeavor to answer them as much as possible. And once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you and give me as much feedback as you can in terms of format, the sound, my language, whatever it is, and I'll try and basically accommodate every feedback that I receive, and hope this has been a very useful episode for you. And my goal in this series is to make you understand those basic concepts in order to face any challenge and succeed in your life. And I'm not a success coach by any means, but I'm giving you the knowledge that I gained from the scriptures, and I am a practicer myself, so I'm practicing all these concepts that I'm explaining to you. But it has been an eye-opener for me, and I hope this will be an eye-opener for you as well. And we will try and work on this together in order for us to analyze. Consider this as a spiritual lab, where we are analyzing the concept and we are bringing in our own experiences in our life into this concept, and then we are basically providing litmus test on these concepts. And so far we looked at spiritual success, and in this episode we looked at karma, and in the next episode we're going to look at the challenges and how we face it. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.